This is a Six News podcast. This is Newswire with Austin Pollock.
Hello, I'm Austin Pollock. That's right, we're back. It's been a little while. We had a little week off, but hey, that's all right. I mean, things are picking back up. You know, the school holidays are over. Our last episode, I was actually recording from up in Cairns, where it's just summer up there all the time. I mean, it's technically winter, but it was beautiful weather, 29 degrees up there. But hey, welcome back. This is episode 3 of the Newswire. It is great to be with you. And what a weekend it was. Tasmania had an election after just over a year. They couldn't help themselves but get back to the polls, could they? And it's all over a no confidence vote in the current Premier and the re-elected, by the looks, Premier, Jeremy Rockliff. But hey, it's been a Liberal re-elected minority government. That's what it looks like again at this stage. And our chief banker, he led the night on Saturday. He's going to be joining us to break it all down. Leonardo Puglisi, the one and only, will join us to break down all the results. And a really fascinating chat. Did you know that we had a youth parliament? Well, I certainly didn't until just recently. And Leonard Cavallaro, he's a member of this youth parliament in Queensland. There's actually one in every state and in the Northern Territory. It's really fascinating stuff. He's going to tell us all about it, what they're doing, and what they're working on as well. It's a great chat, and it all happens right here on the Newswire.
You're listening to Newswire with Austin Pollock.
Over the weekend, it was the Tasmanian election. They were back at the polls. They couldn't help themselves. They were back after just over a year. And to break it all down for us, Leonardo Puglisi, the chief banker, he was there on the night, of course. Leo, hello to you.
Good to be here.
So what all happened? How did it all go? What is next for Tassie?
Well, we're basically in the same position as we were before the election, which really makes things helpful, doesn't it? As it stands from the results we know, with about 3 uncalled, the Liberals are at 13, Labor's 9, you've got 5 Greens, 4 Independents, and we're projecting as well that at least one member of the Shooters, Fishers and Farmers Party will get up. What that basically means, though, is that the main 3 parties, Labor, the Liberals and the Greens, are on the same amount as they were last time. Ultimately, though, it was a bad night for Labor, losing votes statewide, and a pretty shocking result in the seat of Braddon, where in a 7-member seat, 4 Liberals were able to get up.
Let's take a step back for a second. Why did this happen again? Why did we get to another election?
Well, it depends on who you ask in terms of who's to blame. The stadium has been a major point in terms of, you'll see it in the national headlines, right? But there have been other issues around, like the state budget, etc., which just happened before this no confidence motion. That motion was brought about by the Labor leader, Dean Winter. And look, obviously Labor doesn't have the majority to carry that, so that did get the support of the Greens and a couple of independents as well. Some of those independents had previously been propping up the Liberal government through confidence and supply. But really it was just over what I guess Labor was talking about, Liberal government failings. You almost have to wonder whether they kind of jumped the gun seeing the federal election results, which were great for Labor in Tasmania at the federal level, not so much state.
So what's next for Dean Winter?
Well, we'll wait and see in terms of the final makeup of the 35 seats, whether they're able to form government. Now, he said they won't do any deals with the Greens. Now, if you take that in one interpretation, it means there is no way for Labor to form government, because Labor plus independents doesn't equal majority. You need Greens in there at some point. Whether it means they'll accept confidence and supply, we're not sure, but it seems the Liberals are in a better position at this point. I think it would be increasingly tough for Dean Winter to stay on as leader if they are unable to get to government, which is, again, remarkable when you consider he became leader just over a year ago. So they've got to find another one. And who wants to take that job? Because Tas Labor has lost, almost about 5 elections in a row at this point.
Yeah, it would be quite the rebuild and quite the tough job for whoever has to pick up that mess. It's quite embarrassing for him too, because obviously he was the one who made this no confidence call. If you're going to make the call, you're going to want to hope you're at least going to be able to make some sort of change and not get worse.
Well, yeah, and the point, and as we've had on 6 News, we had the former Labor Tassie Premier David Bartlett on, and he made a point that, well, maybe Dean Winter and Labor were expecting that after the no confidence motion passed, Jeremy Rockliff would resign as the Premier, and they would have another Liberal Premier, say Eric Abetz, who they might be able to target a bit more. I'm not 100% convinced, and maybe some others aren't, that they were completely prepared for this election and prepared for the Liberals to go the way they've gone. But at the very least, they should have been. So again, you wonder whether it's jumping the gun. But the election was always a possibility. When we first heard about this motion, it was always talked about as a possibility. And so again, coming off really just amazing federal election results in Tassie,
Yeah.
just the absolute total opposite. And yeah, very, very rough. I mean, it was just one of those gambles that has not paid off, to put it very simply.
Yeah, exactly. And in terms of what's next for one of the biggest issues down there, which is this Tasmanian stadium, the AFL have said no stadium, no team. I remember when it was announced in 2023, I think it was, that Tasmania was going to get a team. They're going to get this brand new stadium. Rockliff was there. Gillon McLaughlin, the CEO of the AFL at the time, was there. There was so much hype around it. I think the Tassie Devils are have the biggest membership in terms of all the AFL clubs, and they're not even in the competition yet. What is next for that stadium now?
Well, you would think it probably goes ahead in terms of the current schedule at this point. Now, look, that doesn't account for potential future roadblocks, and I don't know, another election in 12 months, who knows? But I think they're certainly aiming for that planned schedule of an AFL and an AFLW entry to continue. I know that they were unable to enter the VFL this year. They had a senior talent academy. We've seen that they might be able to do some more practice games next year, still not like formally part of the competition. But yeah, you would think it's on track in terms of the stadium. You would again think it kind of stays the way it's going. But look, it really matters in terms of who the kind of final seats are, because there's so many different perspectives. And you think about parties like Shooters, Fishers, Farmers. Now, the two seats where they might get up, we've projected Lions. The other they could get up in is Bass. None of those are seats in Hobart, right? And so they're representing rural electorates. They're representing farmers. And you wonder whether they're talking about backing well, they might frame it as like an inner city stadium instead of like rural health. So it's going to be contentious. But as far as the Liberals are concerned, they are the largest party, and they're going to push full steam ahead with this stadium. But look, it's a real wait-and-see situation at this point. I don't think anything's completely certain.
All right, everyone will be watching very intently. Hey, when's the next election for Six News? Can you tell me?
Oh, well, we were just getting sick of them, and we were sick of the break.
After last year, I know, yeah.
Oh, well, last year was great. This year, pending by-election, should be without full rolling live coverage, but localelections.com.au, the Northern Territory local elections are late next month, and we'll be covering that and seeing kind of what it means for some of the local areas in the Territory and the issues they've got facing there. But apart from that, things are hopefully pretty normal, unless, they collapse, and we'll be back in 6 months' time in Tassie.
You never know. You never know what Tasmania do. Leonardo Puglisi, Chief Anchor of Six News. Thank you very much for your time.
Anytime.
You're listening to Newswire with Austin Pollock.
How many of you have heard about Youth Parliament? Did you even know we had one? Well, I certainly didn't until a few weeks ago. But every year, around 400 young people play a massive part in our democracy across all the states and in the Northern Territory. They're the voice for the next generation, and they're working on a wide range of issues that affect us. It's really fascinating stuff, and I think a lot of people might not know it even exists. Well, Leonard Cavallaro is the youth member for Ferny Grove in Queensland, and he's been kind enough to join me on the Newswire to tell me all about it. Leonard, hello to you.
Hello, Austin. How are you doing?
Very well, thank you. Now, firstly, I want to ask, why did you want to get into politics so young?
Oh, it's a great question. I think it's because, first of all, politics can be fun. We all know that, as watchers of the news.
Yeah.
And also politics can be very powerful. So politics is everything. It's decision-making, it's people. And that's a pretty special thing. And, we deserve a voice at any age.
And when did you get into it? How young were you, and what are the opportunities like?
Well, to answer the second part firstly, the opportunities are everywhere. And that's, I think, something that's really sad, is we so often don't realize just how much there is. People want to mentor you. People want to have you come in for an internship. They want to have you participate in programs like Youth Parliament. So the opportunities are always there. As to finding the spark, for me personally, it was just really enjoying actually the debate component of politics. Watching these, leadership debates, seeing this, if we're going to get a bit grand about it, but it really is a clash of ideas. And that's a pretty special thing. So the debating aspect got me into it, and then the policy aspect, made me stick around.
Yeah, 100%. Because, a lot of people, I feel like in my age group, and in our age group, I should say, they go politics and they go, oh, that's an old person's thing. It's too complicated and stuff like that. So it's really interesting for me, and how I got into it and how a lot of us at Six News got into it. There's just something about, working with the community and like, developing these policy ideas, which is so interesting. Is that what you find as well?
Oh, absolutely. And that's one of the best parts, isn't it? Is because you have to reach out to people, you have to learn more. And you know that as a reporter is you have no choice but to explore all facets of, human life. And you've got to do the same even, when developing a bill for youth parliament or, learning more about your community is you have to go out and you have to meet people that you just wouldn't meet otherwise. Leaders of a bowls club, local MPs, everyone who contributes to your community. And that's a pretty special thing.
Yeah. So how did you get into it? How did you apply for it? Is it something like you got to know somebody, or is it open to anyone who wants to be a part of this?
Great question. You definitely don't need to know someone. So that's good news for me and for most of us. What it is for, youth parliament specifically, in Queensland Youth Parliament, is it's a statewide leadership program.
Okay.
So it's young people aged 15 to 25 step into the role of real MPs. And that can be anyone. The application process is simple. It's not too rigorous. It's just designed to really understand who you are and where you fit into your community, what you want to do, what do you care about, all the, big questions and just the little ones too.
Yeah. So
and that's the understanding.
Yeah.
Super simple application. Don't let it scare you away.
That's good to hear. That's good to hear. So talk to me. How does it all work? Is it like the real parliament? Is there an incumbent government and an opposition? Is that how that works?
It is very similar to real parliament with a few, I'd say, positive changes. So yes, as youth members, we represent our electorates. We write and debate bills and take part in a full week at Parliament House in Brisbane, sitting in the actual chambers. It's the real thing. And it's the same deal across all the states and territories. With the exception of Canberra, they don't get one, unfortunately. Okay. But it's also more than just a simulation. It is like a launch pad. So it does give young Queenslanders a voice in the legislative process. And no, there's no party lines. You are split into a government and opposition, but they're very much the most raw version of themselves, the most intentional. Government puts something forward, proposes a change, and then opposition scrutinizes it. There's no political labels attached. There's no incumbency. There's no campaigning elements. It is just the most positive parts of the legislative process.
If only the real politics could be like that sometimes, eh? Another thing I want to ask as well is, is there a premier? Can I ask that? Do we have a youth premier? Is that a thing?
This year's youth premier is, henceforth not known. We will find out in September. They'll be elected. Yep. So I guess there is a little bit of election, but no campaigning for it. It's all very honourable in that way. Just whoever you feel will do the best job. But yes, there will be a youth premier, and we'll keep you posted on that.
Yeah.
The one for last year, Layla Gossage, is actually my mentor this year. So it is really wonderful how the same people, kind of stick around and they do give back. So the people who, probably get the most out of it, like our amazing youth premier last year, are back again to give back as mentors, which is one of the coolest part of the programs.
And who votes on that? Is that something that you guys vote in as a chamber? Is that right?
Yes, absolutely. So everyone gets a vote, all the YMs assembled, and there's a ballot and there's a ballot counting process, and you're all very scared and excited.
Yeah. So let's talk about the legislation. Does what you guys do in your in the youth parliament every so often, how does that get reflected in real life legislation, and what do we see from working with the government of the day?
Yeah, absolutely. And that's one of the best parts, is that the legislation is reflected. And obviously, there's kind of two purposes here. The purpose isn't always to write something that will get passed by the government of the day. That can be very important, and that has been done. 100 hours learning license was a QYP invention.
Right.
Same as criminalizing revenge porn. And there's a number of others, which I'm sure we can share.
So these are all made by the youth parliament, like the 100 hours thing?
Yes,
okay,
those are
wow.
all sparked. And that's a really big thing. So yes, it's so important. It's really impressive that these bills go on to become, legislation.
Yeah.
But there's also a dual purpose, which is to just raise the profile of an issue, even if it can't reach a neat resolution. Even if this bill that you have created fundamentally won't pass, there's still a purpose in sharing it, in putting it forward in chamber and having it heard and, having that issue raised. So yes, legislative change absolutely happens through youth parliament, but also just the most important issues of the day to young people are raised.
Yeah. Okay. So let's dumb it down for a second. Let's say you have an idea about something that you think the government can do better on, and you talk to your mates about it from school or in the youth parliament as well. Do you then table that to the parliament and we go from there? Is that how that sort of works?
It's a valid thought. I wish it was that simple. Unfortunately, we do go through the whole very intense process of bill writing, of amendment writing,
So
of
it's full on.
community consultation.
Yep.
Yes, you have the great idea and you think, well, that's that. I've done it. Put me in chamber. Unfortunately, there is a whole heap of things to do beforehand. But once again, those are the really cool things that we spoke about. They're the community consultation. They're the shadowing your MP. There's learning how to write a bill, going through that whole process. So you have an idea and then you think with your team, you brainstorm further, you start to perfect that idea. And then you've really got to think, where does this fit in with other legislation? Because nothing exists in a vacuum. So when you think, oh, I want to do this, well, is it a federal issue? Is it a local issue? Where does this fit in? And so unfortunately, I can't dumb it down that much because legislation is a pretty complex thing. But you just got to think, where does this fit in? And how can I make this doable and legal?
Okay. Yeah, that's really interesting. So it's like, it's the real thing. Like there's no messing around here. It's the real parliamentary aspect of that. That's so fascinating for the young people to be able to get into, and for our age to be able to get into. So how often do you meet with Mark Ferner, who I think is the local member, if I'm not wrong, for Ferny Grove?
Yes, I met with him. He's wonderful. He's a wonderful MP. My actual local MP, truth be told, is Jonty Bush MP. She's wonderful as well. And so I meet with various ones and also local councillors. I find oftentimes our local councillors are some of the best people to meet with. They're the most like boots on the ground. But yes, I have met with Mark Ferner, excuse me, and many others. And they're really good. I recently got to shadow my MP as she was sitting on, all sorts of boards and community events, and that was pretty special too.
Yeah, that's fantastic. So, what are you working on at the moment? What's the latest happening in the youth parliament?
Oh, great question. I'd love to yap about that. Well, our bill this year for my committee, the ETA committee, which is all about education, the arts, training, industrial relations, small business. We've got quite a broad scope, as you can see. But our bill actually does a decent job of encompassing it all because it's about making life skills education a real priority in Queensland schools. Because things like voting, applying for a job, living in a multicultural country, renting your first place, these are essential skills that too many students leave school without. So this has really been the focus of our committee on bridging that gap and bringing life skills education into the classroom in Queensland.
I can't agree more with that. That is a fantastic bill because, I mean, at the moment in school, you're learning about things like, your math, your trigonometry, all your sciences and stuff. And maybe they devote half an hour every term, let's say, to things like, well, at least from my school, we've never spoken about voting at all, unless it's like the in-depth sort of stuff from legal studies or something like that. So how is this, like, talk to me about the bill. What's the thought behind it and what's the plan to get it in, I guess?
Yeah, great question. So the bill process, obviously, it was research, it was consultation, it was ideas from across Queensland. Then we drafted the bill, we revised it as a team, and we're still in that revising stage.
Okay.
And what that means is we split in two. Our sponsoring side of the committee has put forward a bill. They've spent a lot of time on it. It's very, very good.
Yeah.
Now the refuting side of the team, myself included, it's our job to look at that as a pseudo opposition and say, okay, this bill has a great idea, but where has it fallen short? Where is it not compatible with current law? Where is it just failing? So the current bill does a lot of things. It mandates our life skills education program as part of your QCE. Pretty intense, right? You need it to be considered to have passed school. It does a lot of things. It defines life skills instruction as many very interesting, very useful things about, learning about different cultures, learning about, voting, media, all these like key areas. And the bill does a lot of great things. And now it's our job as the, other half, you could say, the opposition side, to look at that bill and go, okay, well, mandating it as QCE, that seems a little bit too far. Or maybe we like it. So that's where the bill's at. It's in a bit of flux. We're talking to shadow MP, shadow ministers, all the community groups that we can to try and turn this broad idea that we love of life skills education into something that we can legislate and that we believe, really has to be legislated.
Yeah. I know it's in a bit of flux at the moment, as you just said, but in terms of practically putting in this into action into schools one day, who knows? But it sounds like a fantastic idea. So what are we thinking? Like, will it be a class that it will be or something like that?
Yeah, really good question. I think the difficulty is when you're passing legislation is you have to be careful not to stray into policy. So We've kind of done a little bit of both, actually. So we have strayed, if I'm being honest. We've got legislation which empowers the relevant minister of the day in all our complex terms to do things like create a program, implement it, mandate it, have principals engage with it, etc., etc.
Yeah.
We're also planning to table to Parliament a further information on our suggested version of the program.
Okay.
Because realistically in legislation, for example, legislation on industrial relations, it doesn't tell you specifically, what are you going to do? Like, when are you going to meet with bosses, etc. It doesn't provide those specifics. And exactly as you're saying, Austin, your first thing when you hear this is, well, what does life skills look like? It's such a broad term. It's life skills instruction is so nebulous. What do you mean by that? So we are going to be attaching like an appendix with further information. And the current plan is it'll be from 7 to 10, or this is controversial what grades it'll be, but it will cover senior grades and it will teach around those areas we've discussed. It will most likely be once a week, and it will be very similar to those classes that exist at most schools. They've got different names, my personal best, wave. They're the sort of times that are used for those random oddball tasks. And the problem is that every school is doing their own random oddball tasks. They're teaching you to touch type at, Indooroopilly State High School. They're teaching you how to manage taxes at another. And what we're doing is we're just seeing a lack of consistency and a lack of any effort. And what we want to do is we really want to offer schools, all these great modules on all these life skills that then this time actually gets put to use. So say it's on a Wednesday. It's on a Wednesday when schools just kind of waste a period, really. And that's the time that we're targeting with this life skills instruction.
Yeah, it sounds like a fantastic idea. And I won't name my school, but we have this thing called... actually, I won't name it because it'll give away the name of the school. But every Tuesday we go in and we sort of talk about multiple different like life topics, right? And it can be relationships or it can be jobs and stuff. But I feel like, at least for me, and I know for a lot of people, we're doing repetitive sort of things that we've done in the years before. The year before that is like writing your CV and stuff. Well, we did that last year, but they're doing it again. Like, it just doesn't seem like it's going to resonate with us. But like what you're talking about, having real life skills and not just following some sort of, like it's very loose at the moment how it is between school and stuff. It sounds like a really, really great idea.
Because that's been our experience talking to principals is it's so sporadic. They have no real guidelines and they just teach random things that seem to be helpful. And the problem is that doesn't inspire students, and it doesn't inspire teachers. No one really knows what they're doing there except kind of passing the time. So it's really, really beneficial actually that this time does exist at most schools. We just need to have something more beneficial to fill it, which is what's really exciting about this bill is it is filling a need.
Yeah, I could not agree more. I 100% could not agree more. Hey, I want to ask you a question now. It is a bit more of a national thing, but it's pretty topical at the moment, and it all kind of has to do with what you guys are doing. This social media ban. Now, it's going to affect, how youth view their politics, because a lot of it's coming through things like Instagram nowadays. I mean, my Instagram feed and a lot of my friends' Instagram feeds are filled with things like, a lot of it's international, like Trump and stuff like that. But when there's big domestic stories, we see it too. How do you think that this social media ban will impact youth views on politics?
Oh, it's a brilliant question. I wish I was as equipped to answer it as I wish I was. It's a bit of a tongue twister there. I think it absolutely will affect things. I'm really curious to see the implementation because obviously that's the hardest part. And we know that, it's very easy to say, something's blocked, but the implementation will be very difficult. I think it is going to change politics. I really, really fear that it might just lead to more disengagement though, because I don't believe that traditionally we see, 15-year-olds or under 16 age demographic engaging with, a newspaper article or engaging with morning radio or other forms of media. So the fear, I think, is that there simply won't be any alternatives that are realistic for people to turn to. Is that such a terrible thing? Who knows? Political engagement is a difficult thing. It is a taxing thing. It's not necessary for all teenagers to do. And that's something, it is okay to be like, this is not for me yet. But for the ones who do want it, I hope that this represents an opportunity. I hope that the social media ban, leads young people, in that under 16 age bracket to seek out other sources, longer form, more interesting and more truthful means of getting your information. Listen to your nightly ABC. Go out and find something more interesting. Ask questions of people in your life. What's happening in the world? Why do you think this is happening? So there's a fear and there's a hope at the same time.
Yeah.
Consequences, as of yet, quite unknown.
Yeah.
But we can only hope for the best.
Yeah, because I mean, Six News wouldn't be around if it wasn't if social media wasn't around, and we wouldn't have all this youth. Our reporters wouldn't be here because there wouldn't be as much youth engagement in the news and current affairs and politics. It extends right through to you. So it's really going to be interesting to see, because obviously what you guys are doing sounds fantastic, and I'm interested. Has there been any engagement at a federal level to you guys, to the different state parliaments around about this issue? Because it seems like the youth parliament would be the perfect forum to get the opinions of young people.
I agree. I don't think there's been as much input as there probably needs to have been. I think it's a very admirable bill, and it's very admirable law now. And I'm curious to see the effects. I think it would have benefited though from more discussion with young people, exactly as you said, through groups like youth parliaments, because these are the people who've been engaged, and they understand the challenges maybe that people disengaged around them have. And what's exciting is that there is an increasing push for more collaboration across the youth parliaments, which is very exciting. There's even talk of a federal youth parliament. As of yet, a bit up in the air, but that is really exciting first steps. And so I think, unfortunately, the answer is no, not much consultation occurred. And I really hope that federal parliament looks at, youth parliaments and goes, wow, this is an awesome way to reach young people and find out genuine views. I'm going to use them more, exactly as you said.
I couldn't agree more. It seems like the perfect forum. And it's just, it's sitting there waiting for the federal government or waiting for any government really to consult with the youth people. Exactly right. So my final question is, what would you say to the thousands of young people out there who would want to get involved with this?
Do it. Without a doubt. Go for it. There are so many opportunities out there. You are talented. You bring some sort of experience in your own way. There is value in your voice and you deserve to have it heard. And you will find the best people in the world. When you put yourself out there, you will always find a good group. And that's what all these opportunities are. Queensland Youth Parliament, when you're joining a youth wing of a party, a news organization, anything that forces you to push yourself out there, you will discover great people and you will have a really powerful impact. So go for it. Just do it.
Leonard, this is really fascinating stuff, mate. I want to ask just one more question. What is next for you for the Youth Parliament? When are you next back together? What's going on with it at this very moment?
Well, it's very exciting. We're talking about, obviously, we're revising the bill. Come September, we'll be in Parliament defending it, attacking it. It's going to be very exciting stuff. We'll have a lot of issues to debate. That's where I'm most comfortable. Debating is my, home ground, really. That's what I love. So it's going to be a lot of fun. September is when it really happens. We've also got the 30th anniversary coming up. So that's very exciting at the end of August. Lots of opportunities, lots of ways to connect as well, even if you're not part of the youth parliament. So I encourage anyone that's interested, reach out to your, member of parliament, your youth member of parliament, anyone that you know, because opportunities are waiting for you.
Leonard Cavallaro, thank you very much for your time here on the Newswire. We're going to follow this youth parliament very closely.
Thank you so much.
Well, there you go. There we have it. That is episode 3 of the Newswire done and dusted. Hey, thanks a lot for tuning in and thanks a lot for sticking with us if you've come through 1, 2, and 3. Or if you haven't yet listened to episodes 1 and 2, do check them out. You can search it by going to SIXNewsAU.com/podcasts or wherever you get your podcasts, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, wherever you're listening on right now, and of course on YouTube as well. Check us out, SIXNewsAU, and then search for the Newswire. Thanks a lot for your company. Now, if you want to share your thoughts, if you have anything you want us to cover, if you want to tell us about your experience, about anything we've spoken about today, send us an email, newswire@sixnewsau.com, or you can email me, apollock@sixnewsau.com. Leave your thoughts, leave your reaction. We're going to be reading some of your feedback out as well, so send it through. Thanks a lot for your company. I'm Austin Pollock. I'll be back with you next Wednesday. Take care.
This is a 6 News podcast.